Welcome back to Living Minnesota. My name is Joe Carmack, and for this month's market update, we had some things to talk about because we just had the single greatest increase in sale prices in history as far back as I can go. So I'm going to break down what that means for you if you're thinking about buying or selling this month. So as you can see right here, we had a pretty major spike from March to April of about $20,000 increase on the sale price for the average home around the Twin Cities. So that's actually the single biggest jump from one month to the next we've seen as far back as my graph can go. So I'm going to zoom out here for you. Literally as far back as I can go, 2005 is it? We've never seen that big of an increase from one month to the next. However, I'm not honestly concerned about it at all, and let me show you why. So let me zoom back in here. So from March to April's numbers, $20,000 increase. However, you can also see from February to March, we saw no increase. So I actually don't know if there's a glitch. Maybe their numbers didn't report or something. I find it really hard to believe that we stayed literally flat from February to March's numbers. So I wonder if something's a little goofy in InfoSark's system. But in any case, the reason I'm not particularly concerned besides that is actually because if you look from January to April, what was that? That was $30,000 total there. Excuse me. Oh, yes. Excuse me. So it was about a $20,000 jump from March to April, but it's only about $30,000 from January to April's numbers. So if you actually go back, that's pretty common from the numbers that you'd see from, for example, here's January to April of last year. And then January was down here to April of last year. So that's actually a pretty normal thing to see a big increase. Pretty common. I mean, it's what you would expect, right? Seasonality in Minnesota. Not many people are buying in the winter. Not as much demand, so prices slump down quite a bit. And then they pop up during summer. So it looks scarier than it is. But it is, I was actually really encouraged, to be honest, because with last month's numbers sitting flat, we were kind of like, what the heck is that, you know? We need to see those numbers bounce up. These valleys obviously being the winter, these being the summer, so it's very common that they bounce up. It didn't last month, so I'm actually feeling really good about it, but that'll certainly be in the headlines somewhere. I'm sure that we are seeing massive sale price increases. I mean, we are, but it's not really out of the ordinary. If I switch that to your rolling 12-month average, this is honestly how you can keep a much better long-range view of it, 30,000-foot view of how the market's actually trending. We did see a nice pop-up there as well, but it wasn't a significant amount. What did we go from 381.5 to 384,000? So it was something, but not too terribly big. It's actually kind of encouraging to see that number keeping going up, just because I feel like there's a lot of news and speculation and rates and federal level things going on that has had people concerned in the past. I think this sort of supports my hunch that things feel like they're cooling off a little bit. Some of that like unknown worry stock market stuff that we've been seeing feels like it's calming down a little bit. So that's what we're looking at for your median sales price around the Twin Cities. We're sitting at $384,000 right now for the rolling 12-month average. We'll take a quick glance at the month supply of inventory. This one is that relationship. Are we in a buyer's market or are we in a seller's market? The lower we are, the more seller favored it is. The higher, more balanced or for a buyer's market. So if we could get to around 4%, which would be this line here, 4 month supply, that would be a pretty good target. Somewhere between 4 to 6 months is balanced. We're very seller favored, and there's really no changes, as you can see, for yet another month. So since October last year, we've been sitting at 2.4. We're still not seeing that one move, but I'm definitely liking to see that we're coming out of that kind of extreme seller's market that we had been in a few years ago. We're popping back out of that. So no big concerns there, no changes. Oh, if you want to see I'll show you the month-to-month change too. It's perfectly normal. We came out 0.3 month supply from the beginning of the year until now, and that's almost the exact same number, 0.3, that we had seen like every other year from the same time period, January to April. So no concerns there. Nothing really is changing too significantly. Let's take a peek at your days on market. This is obviously how quickly homes are selling once they get listed. No changes there as well. So that's pretty understandable. It sticks kind of in lockstep with how aggressive the market is, how much demand there is. So goes days on market. We're still at 22 days on market, so that's pretty standard right there. Also, if we look at the month-to-month changes, here, let me zoom in for you a little bit. There's the past 3 years, so obviously homes are selling far slower in the winters than they are in the summer months. Slower, faster, slower, and then it's just speeding up kind of like it normally would. So the literal month-to-month change is at 18. Days on market, that would be the number of days the home spends before it goes into a pending status. Any active or contingent or true actives would be racking up those days on market. So no big changes there. Homes are still selling plenty quickly, but not too crazy aggressively. We're liking to see this trend as you can kind of see is curving up there. We like to see that. So let's look at the number of closed homes. Why do you care about this one? I think primarily because this one tells you how many people are out in the market and are things closing or not. Also, I'm honestly bringing up some of these more often because I'm hearing kind of misleading things in the main media, news headlines, social media, whatever. So when you're hearing, home sales are at a record low or whatever, it is, but you kind of got to understand that context, which it never has in social media land. So here's the number of homes that are selling. There's no big changes there as well. We're sitting fairly flat. I don't want to assume people have seen my previous market updates, but if you missed those, we just had a huge increase of, too many homes selling, and now we're flipping the inverse and we're seeing the rebound of that. So things are low. It doesn't really make much difference to you because we're looking at month supply. This is a relationship of how many buyers and how many sellers. That one's just saying they're both down. And so when they're both down, the environment that you're going to be buying or selling in is staying, cooled off. You don't care particularly how many homes are selling around your house. You just want to know that your home is selling or that you'd be able to sell your house if you decided to. So that's a good thing. A couple more things that we'll look at, and then we'll look at interest rates. The previous graph that I showed you was the number of homes that close. This one's the ones that are currently on market. Now, homes for sale is the inventory. Whenever you hear that word, that's been the big buzzword lately. Oh, inventory is spiking, Yeah, that's a good thing. It should be. It should be going up. And spiking locally is very much an exaggeration. But here's what that number looks like. Inventory just means the quantity of homes available to be sold right now. So we, again, similar to previous slides you saw, we really bottomed out and we have been coming up. We've been kind of around 50 homes for sale increased per month. So when there's 9,000, is that a spike? No, I don't think that's could be qualified as any sort of a spike. It's honestly more of a gentle curve. We're just gently swelling in the market with the quantity of homes for sale. It means buyers have more options to choose from, and it means it's slightly less extremely favored just towards sellers. So buyers are able to get slightly better terms. They don't have to move quite as quickly. It's a little bit more equitable of a market. So we like to see that. I like to see inventory coming up, but I do like to see that it's going pretty gradually. If we roll into the month-to-month changes, no big increase there. No big changes. Nobody has their house on the market hardly during the winter months, and then everybody starts to list during the first half of the year, and then they sell off and they come back down. So very normal. We're seeing those increases go just like we normally would. Again, if we were seeing some crazy big spike, you would be seeing this number going up considerably more than that normal gradual bouncy ball that happens every single year. So nothing that I want to see there. And then very quickly, let me zoom this out before you go cross-eyed. This will be the quantity of new listings getting put on the market. Maybe I'll go happy medium here. So this is over the last 5 years. I'll give you 10 years. I know it's kind of hard to even tell what you're looking at. But generally speaking, this is April, and I just want to see where we're at compared to the other Aprils. So we did see more homes get listed this year, 6,800, than last year was 6,400. So 400 and I think it was 80 more homes, 420 more homes that got listed this year. So that's a really good April number that we're seeing there. And I would say that jives with what I've been seeing in the market as well. If we back up to like 2019, we're not nearly as where we were there. But again, more homes sold over the 2021, 2, 3, 4 years. And so we're not going to see as many listed now. Perfectly normal there. So that's what's going on as far as quantity of new listings. We're up 6.6% from last year. And that's a really healthy number. And then why don't we switch over into what interest rates are doing? This is just Mortgage News Daily. So this is where I pull most of my numbers from. It's where my lender, Bridget, likes this site the best. Feel like it's the most accurate and easy to understand. So if you're wondering what your payments are going to do or how that's shifting over time, we're just under 7% right now. Mortgage News Daily saying from the MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association, we're just under 7% there. We've kind of been up and down all over the place, but we're also, I would say, seeing less volatility, it feels like to me. So you can see this is a 1-year graph that you're looking at here. We obviously were down below 6.5, which was great. It was also very short-lived, so that didn't last too long. And then we've been kind of between this, right around 6.8, like 6.6 to 7 is pretty much the range. But we haven't been floating so high or so low as we had previously. So I do like that. Feels a little bit like the market is stabilizing a little bit of that unknown, the uncertainty of Trump and tariffs and all the different executive orders and all the things happening with the stock market, like all that's kind of cooling off. Things are relaxing a little bit. And I think you're seeing that showing up in our numbers too. So there we go. That's a wrap on what's going around the Twin Cities this month. My name is Joe Carmack. If you have any questions, love to answer them for you in the comments down below. And of course, you can find my information in the description. So I hope you'll reach out if you have any plans of making a move this year. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next month.